Hello to all you patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 311 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one book and rifle club in Canada. We're recording on August the 30th, 2021. As always, my name is Andrew. I will be your host for this evening's book club. Joining me tonight, we have Gavin and Pierre.
We'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us directly at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. A version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes.
We need your help. To support Canadian Patriot Podcast, visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 an episode. Show you're not a communist, buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, the homepage, and follow the link on the right.
Great. That brings us to my t-shirt update. T-shirts are coming.
Yes, they are
Real
coming.
I am we have had some we've had some difficulty with t-shirts. Tim's Good T-shirts, unfortunately, is temporarily suspended from operating due to some overdue library books. Tim has a situation that he is trying to resolve. And after approaching several manufacturers is maybe not the right word, producers, providers of customized t-shirts, printers of t-shirts, we have been unsuccessful in locating a company that would be willing to print t-shirts for us.
Shocking.
But on the upside, yeah, I know nobody wants to be associated with us. On the upside, Pierre is already associated with us, and Pierre needed a tax shelter.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Pierre is going to be making some t-shirts.
Yes, here is one of them. It was a trial one. It worked out. We're getting them started. We've got a stack of stuff. Shirts are coming in tomorrow or not, and we can start making them. And hopefully by next week, Andrew will be available to. If you follow his links, they will be available.
Yeah.
There you go, Chris.
As soon as we have it, we'll put it on the internet and let everybody know. Chris, if you want me to hand deliver you a t-shirt so you don't need to make your own again, not that I don't appreciate your artistic ability, but there's a lot of Sharpies to go through for that.
Yeah. It's very stylish, though. Very stylish.
So yeah, if you are looking for dissident apparel, patriot apparel, even Pierre might be the man to talk to, and you can find him on Instagram and Facebook at Off the Wall Customizing. And I think you guys have an email address, and you're working on a website.
Yeah, Off the Wall Customizing at gmail.com.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
so,
and then onlyfans.com/offthewall.
Yes.
That's right. $5 to see a picture of Pierre in a t-shirt, $10 to see him not in a t-shirt. Or no, vice versa. Either way, you're going to get money from this.
Yeah, it's win-win, really.
Yeah. Except e-transfers.
Excellent.
Perfect. Yeah.
Not having to pay merchant fees is always a bonus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then also, you don't have to do all the nonsense that it requires to be compliant with credit card processing, because security on the internet is a thing, and it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, dealing with that at work. It's ridiculous.
That might be at some point, but right now we're just getting started. So we're keeping it simple, but the mine's going 100 miles an hour for some really good t-shirts with sayings that will trigger a lot of people that are.
I might have to dig into the back catalog of designs there for you here and send some your way, because I've got some.
Oh, I'm
spicy shirts.
I'm all up for it.
Melissa says you guys are also taking Bitcoin, and you can also be found on TikTok and something called Clapper, which
yes,
I feel like you need to talk to your physician about getting penicillin if you have Clapper.
Yeah.
I don't know what those are. Yeah, I didn't know there was a Facebook until earlier when someone's like, "Oh, there's a Facebook page." I was like, "There is." I just know I'm in some pictures because she was over my shoulder while we were doing stuff and all that. But yeah, it's
that's great, and I'm glad that you're stepping up. I mean, I'm glad we've got you a tax shelter in progress. That's always good, and most importantly, we're going to get t-shirts so people stop complaining about the lack of t-shirts, because we set out to try and like talk to some people on the internet about politics and things that were like going on in the country, because we're an underserved media market, despite being the second largest country. And to quote the arrogant worms, if Russia keeps on shrinking, then soon we'll be first. Wow. And we also have like 30 million people here. You would think there would be some interesting Canadian content, but
no.
Even the CBC doesn't want to do Canadian stuff.
And if they do, it's never interesting.
Yeah.
Is book club tonight or next week? Asks Dick on YouTube. Book club is tonight. Book club is coming, but so are t-shirts, and we had to talk about t-shirts. Yes. Book club is going to be coming up shortly. We have some more housekeeping to take care of, which I'm going to go to my favorite segment. The real reason I do this is so that I'm not an alcoholic that drinks alone. I'm going to ask my friends, my co-conspirators even, gentlemen, what are you drinking? And I'll start with Gavin.
I'm drinking Signal Hill and Diet Pepsi this evening. A classic.
Nice. Yeah. That seems to be the new go-to.
Yeah. In my fancy new podcasting studio.
I think we might need to get you some echo something for your podcast studio, because I can hear a little bit there. There's some reverb going on.
It's cavernous. That's the
more guns.
Yeah,
we need to get you more guns.
They're not even all here yet.
All right, Pierre, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking 40 Creek and Pepsi tonight.
Regular Pepsi, not diet. I see.
No,
we're gonna have to get you in
Pepsi.
We're gonna have to get you and Gavin lined up on that.
Well, this way I don't drink his and he doesn't drink mine.
Yeah, I mean, that you make a good point. That makes sense. No one will drink mine. I want to give a special shout out to our friend Brian, who's not on the show tonight. Brian's busy wage cucking. I have this very exciting bottle. Oh, it kind of keys out a little bit. From the only good thing to come from Barrie, Flying Monkey Brewery. I have no apologies about that. Barrie is a terrible place. Apologies to the two of you that live there.
You've lost me already, because I tried some of their other beers and they're disgusting.
Yes, exactly. This is the Tiny Little Blizzards Northern Hemisphere IPA. It's a 7% IPA. It tastes not unlike trying to drink a pine tree.
It's a hell of a name.
It's quite good. It's quite good. I don't know what kind of hops they use. I don't care. It's bitter. It's good. I like it. I'm gonna have a bunch. Also, 7%. I might get a little wrecked.
It happens.
Patriot Challenge. We're asking people to do 5 things every day to be a better person. I don't know. We'll see if you guys done any of your 5 things today. Have you completed the challenge today?
Yeah, I did my reading for the day. I drank my water for the day. I kind of practiced a skill today. Like I assembled some stuff. So
assembling stuff could be a skill.
Reading directions is a skill.
And as a man, it's a very difficult skill. Or at least that's what my wife keeps telling me.
No, I think that's asking for directions.
I wasn't listening.
It happens.
Yeah, no, I did some today. Was feeling a little wonky today, but I definitely drank lots of water. Practice a skill. Yes. Starting my new tax shelter, trying to figure all that out. That's a skill to help keep the tax man out of the pocket.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
My skill side is a little bit weak. I did a bunch of work, but I don't like to count doing work as a skill. I prefer to work on like perishable skills or like hard skills, lock sport or gun stuff or things that are not my day-to-day. Because as much fun as it is to like prove that I can still administer a SQL database, not really a practical hands-on kind of a skill.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that'd be a skill that I would not be able to figure out.
No. I mean, it's not that it's not, but I prefer prefer my skills practice piece of this to be more of a like a handicraft type skill or a hard skill, like a perishable skill, something that's that I'm either not getting paid for as a profession. Because like, I mean, I do try to get paid to do gun stuff, although it is hard to get paid to do gun stuff. gun stuff is a perishable skill. Practicing shooting is a perishable skill. But I have not managed to get 10 minutes of dry fire in, or 10 minutes of lock picking, or 10 minutes of tying rope. Because, I mean, again, the wife, the whole bad at directions thing. So 30 seconds to get the first knot in, 30 seconds for me to do my business, and then 4 minutes of cuddling. That's hardly 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've also got the reminders for the Section 74 challenge. Go on GoFundMe. Send them some money. Get involved in the process if you haven't already. Book club. This month for book club. A book from an author that I really like that I didn't realize was doing fiction until Pierre pointed it out. Andy McNabb and Remote Control. So Andy McNabb to start with, I guess, and then the book.
Sounds good.
So McNabb was an SAS soldier in the British military, in the 80s and 90s, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of fits with like the character in the book as well, and his experiences. So that's why I guess he would be writing about them.
I think the big thing that I recognize Andy McNabb from is which embassy was it? I can't even remember. There's a super famous, the SAS go into an embassy and they're all in black and they've got the gas masks on, and I forget, was it the Iranian embassy?
Wasn't that a prison that they did that?
The SAS does that in a bunch of stuff.
No, but their first big thing, wasn't that a prison? The Iranian embassy siege took place in the 30th April to 5th of May, 1980.
I feel like it was the Iranian embassy siege. There's a picture. I remember watching an interview with McNabb. Oh, I don't know, probably 10 years ago on the History Channel.
Where they're all like on the roof in like black with gas masks and stuff.
Yeah, it's the 80s SWAT cop look with the black jumpsuits and the black tactical nylon, like non-adjustable tactical vests.
And the one guy, I'm looking at a photo right now, rappelling, has an MP5 with a scope on it. Like the least practical thing I have ever seen. Like the MP5.
Is it a scope? Is it a scope, or is it a Maglite with D cells that's duct taped to the MP5? Because they used to do that in the 80s too.
It looks like it's a scope to me.
Maybe.
I mean, I still want an MP5. I just wouldn't put a scope like that on it.
Oh, I definitely want an MP5.
Oh yeah, they're stupid fun to shoot.
For sure.
So I do remember watching an interview with McNabb probably 10 years ago where they talked about that. He's one of the people pictured in the embassy siege, but you can't tell because he's just another SAS guy in the black outfit with the gas mask.
Yeah. No, I enjoy him as an author. His fiction's pretty good. I don't mind it, but his non-fiction books are good as well. Very enjoyable.
No, this was
I had read one of his.
I hadn't read anything of his, so
I read one of his nonfiction books. I read the Bravo 20 book about that was the first invasion of Iraq, right?
I believe it's the first, yeah. And he had to get a bunch of people to sign off for him to even write the book or whatever. And it's sort of it's sort of his biography, but it's really about the first Gulf War, Desert Storm 1. And he ends up getting his call sign ends up getting captured, and he gets taken prisoner by the Iraqis and has to spend time in a prison, and eventually breaks out, and it's quite a thing. So he spent quite a long time in the SAS though, didn't he? He was in from the early 80s through the early 90s. Like he was in for like 20 years. He was in the army a little bit longer than that in the British military. Yeah, he was in for quite a bit. I don't know exactly how long, but yeah, I would say close to 20 years.
If I'm not mistaken, he moved from the Royal Green Jackets, which is an infantry regiment. He moved from the Royal Green Jackets to the SAS in '84, and he got out of the SAS in '93. So that'd be 19 years with the SAS. And I think he spent about 8 years with the Royal Green Jackets as an infantryman before testing into the SAS.
76 to 93.
I enjoyed his other book. I thought Bravo 20 was a pretty good book. So when this came up as a book club book, I thought it'd be a good time. I'm surprised at how well it is written when, again, like old Andy McNabb interviews. When he went into the military, he tested into the military with like an elementary level reading score. Like he read as though he were in elementary school, even though he would have been 16 or 18 at the time. I think he got into the army on a disciplinary thing. Like he was one of those like situations where you can go to prison or you can join the army, and he chose army. But he was like 16 or 18 at the time.
Yeah.
Maybe they should do that more.
Well, I mean, it was the 70s, man.
Yeah.
It's a different time. I don't know if they can do that anymore.
They couldn't ship them off to Australia anymore because it was already full of criminals. So they had to send them to the army.
I don't know. He credits his success to the military and having been involved in the infantry and going through SAS. And I think it's very interesting that he got out of this, and he's became such a good writer as a result of this. Like he's not, for someone who was barely functionally literate when he went into the military, he's probably the only person that got better at writing as a result of having been in the military.
He used the crayons on paper. He didn't eat them.
Yeah. No,
it was the British Army.
Yeah. He probably had weird crayon flavors like mint chutney and stuff like that, so we weren't very appetizing. But no, I mean, I guess his use of language is not like, I mean, it's well written, but it's still easy to understand. Like he doesn't use big words for the sake of using big words.
Agreed.
Which is kind of nice, like because I find some authors try to make themselves sound important.
Yeah, I don't think this is overblown. I like how it's written. It's very much in the same vein as the biographical, like the Bravo 20 book. I Remote Control, aside from the storyline and the fact that it's very British, almost interchangeable with some of the Tom Clancy books, like the Jack Ryan series of books.
Yeah.
It's that same kind of espionage, spy, thriller type novel, which I enjoy reading. I think it's a good time.
No, I really, and there's some time period specific kind of some stuff in there. Like, I mean, we'll get into it more, I guess, when we talk about the book, but like you can tell, like, based on the way that he's describing doing things, that was the doctrine at the time, but that's changed since then.
Yeah. And even in the book, he says, like, there's a few parts where he's just like, he doesn't know how to do that and how technology's advanced, but he's still stuck in his own ways from his training. One of the big reasons I like his books is, like, I enjoy Tom Clancy books. But sometimes Tom Clancy's books, how he words stuff, I'm a very simple-minded person that I have to read the sentence 3 times and potentially Google something. And I lose interest in reading a book if I read a chapter and I don't understand it. But his chapters are, for this book, they were nice. They were short. I'm a big fan of reading before bed, but reading puts me to sleep. So if a chapter is 40 pages, I have a hard time trying to read a chapter before I fall asleep. So for this book, that's one of the big things I enjoyed was the chapters are nice and short. They're simple worded. You can kind of read as you're trying to relax without having to get your brain to go 100 miles an hour trying to figure out what language they're talking about or what they're trying to explain.
I can appreciate that. Oh, interesting. So Chris with the custom t-shirts is on YouTube, and he finds that it's too much of a book like Tom Clancy, Jason Bourne, and MacGyver. Which, I mean, I can see the relationship, because I mean, he does manage to do quite a lot through the novel with very little. I can kind of see that. I like the spy thriller novel stuff, though. Tom Clancy books are kind of my jam. The remote control was up there. Have you guys read? There's a reasonably new author in the U.S. that's made some big publication news recently. Jack Carr, Carr, The Terminal List.
No.
Okay, it was kind of a big deal the last maybe 2 or 3 years. It's a little bit older than that, but it's I think they're on book 4 or 5 now of the series. The guy's a former Navy SEAL. It's the same thing. Like the novels are interchangeable with the Jack Ryan-averse from Tom Clancy's works.
Okay.
It's like terrorism bad, America good, rah rah, kill bad guys. Like
yeah. But I mean, like that's a genre, right? Like they're all going to kind of overlap because a lot of these writers had all sort of, different branches of the military, and in this case, a different country altogether, but similar experiences. So they write about what they know about.
Yeah, and I enjoyed reading through it. Some of the tactical stuff was not bad. There's one point in the novel where they're talking about infiltrating a facility, and he talks about like shape, shadow, shine, and it's like, oh, I know all of these acronyms. This is like how we do camouflage, but it's not. It's not in your face, overt. Like he's not telling you like this is how you do camouflage and how concealment works, but like,
yeah, he knows what he's talking about because he mentioned certain things that help flush out the book and give it some more depth to it. But it's not like he's giving you like the field manual on how to camouflage your face, right? Like it's.
Yeah. They don't paint a picture for 10 minutes of the guy applying camo to his face and putting a bit of mud on his boots to blend in more.
Yeah. And screaming out, do it now. Oh, that's
I did not highlight any passages to read on this book. I don't know if there's anything that we want to go into in any great detail, or if maybe we want to talk through some of the storyline stuff. As I read most of this on a plane, and I did it in about a day.
Yeah, no, like it's a very easy read. That was a big enjoyable thing for me. But just I don't know. I just like how the story kind of starts off, and
well,
halfway.
I think he draws again. I think McNab draws that from his own experience because the beginning of his own military career, where are the Green Jackets posted to? Gibraltar. Where's the beginning of the book set? In Gibraltar.
No.
So like, I feel like it was believable because he's like, well, he's been there and he knows the places. So he's describing things that really exist, or at least he's drawing enough inspiration from real things that he knows about that it all flows and is believable.
What I would say that like he either is actually talking about places he knows about, because like when he's talking about driving down to Florida and they're passing that like Pedro south of the border place, that place actually exists. Because like as a kid, I used to drive down to Florida with my parents, and that would have been like in the 80s and 90s. So like the time frame, you kind of, he's probably, he did it and is, doing all this stuff. That place exists. I've been there. So he is drawing on real life places and likely his real life experiences. So like it was really cool to sort of see like, there was no need for him to mention this place at all. It could have been literally any roadside gas station or whatever that he stopped at that's completely made up. But he did choose to include some real world places and details.
And I wondered about that when they're talking about like various places in Northern Virginia and around DC. I wonder how many of those hotels actually existed at some point. I mean, like interchangeable motel is like interchangeable motel, but I mean, some of the descriptions of some of the places, it's like, okay, maybe that's not the hotel that was at that intersection, but like
he's been to that place. Like,
yeah, it's all laid out right, and he's been to that. And some of the traversing through lots between commercial spaces, like we've had that. Gavin and I have gone on hikes and tried to go to where trailheads are supposed to be, and it turns out that there's like construction fences and things you don't expect, and it's like, well, we're just going to go around this obstacle, and it's not how you're supposed to do it, but like there's a bunch of trash here, and obviously a bunch of other people have been here, and this fence isn't where you're expecting it to be, and you can get around that.
Yeah. No,
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the 7 S's with when they were talking about camouflage and concealment, the shape, shadow, shine, sound, all of the concealment stuff. Some of the technical, how they were disabling security systems, again, not my wheelhouse, but like seems plausible. Like if you slowly block the IR sensor, then the IR sensor won't notice. I mean, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, like I don't know about using an egg timer for that stuff, but I do know like from friends that do some red teaming stuff. The way he's describing, like taking the meticulous photos so that he can put everything back and do all of that stuff when he's sort of doing his more clandestine stuff, that's absolutely kind of the stuff that they do.
Yeah. But I am curious. I want to go buy a clock and try that with one of the cameras, like, to put a piece of cardboard or whatever and wait the 15 minutes to cover the whole camera. Cause yeah, like how he explained it, I was like, I don't understand. And then when he got to the point where he set it up and everything, I was like, I kind of want to try that. Go to the dollar store.
Yeah, but would you have to be using like 1980s camera technology for it to work, or would it still work on modern cameras?
That's worth the $4 of a clock at dollar store to figure out.
Yeah. I guess when was the actual? Was it all set in 1988? I know that's when the Gibraltar stuff happened.
I don't know when he specifically set this.
I'm reasonably certain that the Gibraltar stuff at the very beginning of the book with the IRA. I mean, spoiler alert: the Irish did it. I mean, shocking that the British Army or someone in the British Army has something against the Irish. That's but I mean, the Gibraltar stuff was set in the spring of '88.
Yeah,
and again, like the IRA stuff and the bombing stuff seems reasonable, seems realistic. Like it's well written. It maybe is not an event that happened, but I'm sure it's based on an event that happened because it does all seem pretty reasonable. I guess more for I think Gavin to talk about than anything. But do you remember when we did the Heat theme match? You watched Heat?
I was just gonna say, he helped work on that.
Yeah, well, I think that again that speaks to the credibility. So I mean, we watched Heat recently because we did a Heat themed shooting match, and I had said about how well done the gunplay stuff in Heat was. I mean, generally it's a good movie, but the shoot 'em up stuff was all well done, and I feel like a big part of that is probably McNabb acting as a technical advisor.
Yeah, and I do know for a fact that there are people that have actually like government agencies that have played the bank scene for their people to show them tactics and stuff like that. Also, another weird little thing that came out of that movie, zip ties as restraints wasn't a thing that was commonly done until after that movie came out, because they did it in the movie, and then all of a sudden the criminal elements around the world, I guess, watched the movie and learned from it, and now started doing that more frequently. So probably his fault.
You're much more adept at the lock picking stuff than I am, Gavin. Did the lock picking stuff all seem accurate? Because he described in like a pretty good level of detail how he opened some commercial locks.
Yeah, no, I think like all of that stuff from my, I mean, maybe slightly deeper knowledge of it than you, but still very, very limited, seemed plausible and realistic for the time period. Like a lot of the time, some of this stuff is super simple to do. But no, I think he did a good job of describing all of that, like his blackout cloak that he would put over it and holding the flashlight in his mouth and doing all of that stuff.
Well, and again, I think this is one of those, like, if you've never had to do stuff in the dark where you might be observed by other people, you've probably never thought about that. But how do you use a flashlight without being seen?
Well, and,
so like the blackout cloak thing is a great idea, but if you hadn't done that, you wouldn't know. And it's a really subtle, like, this isn't how you break into a place undetected, but like, if you infer a few things, this is how you break into a place undetected.
Well, in the way that he also talked about, like, using like the painting coveralls and taking his shoes off so that he doesn't leave like muddy footprints and things like that, and describes how in past missions they'd almost botched a job because some guy left like wet footprints and another guy had to go drop a deuce on the job, and like all these things, right? Like,
yeah. So if you're going to break into a place, painter's coveralls, take off your outside shoes. So I mean, basically just be a Canadian.
Go to the bathroom before you can leave.
Go to the bathroom before.
Yeah, if you need to.
He drinks an ungodly amount of coffee in this book, which I wonder how he goes to the bathroom as little as he does.
So from having met some SAS guys and done some stuff with them, I would say that's also accurate, because I'm pretty sure
I got the same impression from the guys at Trojan that
I don't think I ever saw those guys eat, but they were constantly sipping coffee, possibly whiskey, maybe both.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance to go to Trojan in the US, definitely worth your time, I think. Some of the gun stuff was pretty good too. Like he does a good job of describing firearms and their usage and how, like, I loaded it and it made sure it was ready, and like what he calls chamber checks something weird. He calls them check chambers. He used an unusual term, I thought.
Yeah, Brits. The only thing that drove me nuts though was him talking about easing the springs in his magazines.
Yes,
but like that's what I meant earlier about that. Like it's time period correct, I guess, because that's what they sort of thought at the time. But that
I mean, still not wrong. So like, yes, you're taking all the ammunition out of the magazines and cleaning the magazine and then putting it back together again, which is mass shooters is a common thing.
Yes, and if you're going to have a problem with the thing, it's probably a magazine problem.
Right. So like I get that, but to say it was that he was doing it to ease the springs is kind of like a little bit.
Yeah, because it's not, the springs are fine under tension. They're fine when they're not under tension. It's the going back and forth frequently that's the problem with it. So just leave it one way or the other. You don't need to relax them. They'll be fine. But that was the popular opinion at the time. So like it's accurate for the time frame of the book and when he would have gone through and done his training. I thought
the vernacular was a little bit weird with the check chamber rather than calling it a press check or a chamber check
but that's probably just what the
I mean, again, like picky language point, and maybe it's just like continental British British English versus like American English.
Right.
I overall enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the being a parent to a young child myself. I enjoyed the small character that was in it, because it was like, kids can be annoying. They don't do what you ask them to do. They don't do it how you ask them to do. And yes, in the middle of committing a burglary, they're probably going to have to go pee. I can totally yes. This is not only is this highly relatable, this is very likely accurate.
Yeah.
Yes. And I have to go back to get my stuffies. Two teddy bears. Like the second I started reading that, I just thought, I was like, that is 100% my daughter.
Yeah, we're all gonna die, but I need to get this. I need to get the teddy bear, bro.
Yeah, I was just like, I gotta work on that if this, But that's 100%. That's, I thought my daughter instantly when I read that. It's like, because she's very much attached to certain things, and it's nice how he kind of, you hear his mindset on it. Like, he doesn't have kids. He has no clue what to do with kids, right? Like, one of the first things he does is like, here's a bunch of chocolate and some pop, right?
Yeah.
Turns the TV on and just kind of leaves her alone for like 3 days, feeding her like cookies and Coke. But it's nice to see how, like, as it goes on, they start kind of bonding a bit more, and he's doing his best to help out, keeping information away to hopes that she doesn't fall apart and they can keep going on what they need to do. But towards the end of it, like her becoming kind of dependent and like a regular her life has drastically changed, and now being a common person that she's hoping is always around and always looking for. It's kind of cool to see.
I enjoyed that. I don't know. Do you guys have anything else? Do you have any criticisms of it or any other thing? Because I made my couple of criticisms as a fiction book. It was pretty good. There was a couple of things that were like unusual language, but they might have just been more British than I'm used to.
I mean, like the one real criticism I have is maybe that like it just kind of ended. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
oh no, it's just setting it up for a series. I'm that's all that is.
Yeah, but like a little bit more wrap up would have been nice. Like even if you're gonna leave it as that, like especially if it's the first one in the series, you maybe don't like, I don't know, pull an Ender's Game where you write in a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with anything because you know that you're going to write a sequel. But like, it just ended. Like I mean, I guess I won't spoil anything because you guys have all read the book. So if you haven't, don't listen to what I'm going to say. But like, he tells the little girl basically how to blow the place up via the telephone and everything. Then she goes and blows the place up, and he has to drive up to like northern Scotland to get her. And then just like shows up and she's hiding and he grabs her, and then like it's the end of the book. And it's just like there's like nothing else. Like that's it.
Yeah, the British government is cool with this. MI6 isn't worried that one of their employees has apparently gone rogue. The Americans aren't mad that we just created like how many like federal crimes were committed in America? Like all of them? Seems like all of them.
But like not even like a couple of murders. Now we're on the run, and it's just like an end. Like no nothing. Just super high ups in the British intelligence / military. We're all involved in this and trying to kill him and everything else. But like you're not going to tie up any of those loose ends. Just
no. He rescued the kid. It's all good.
Yeah, just ends.
The ending was a little bit rough. I fully expect there to be like, I have not read the rest of the books, but it is a series of novels, and I fully expect there to be just more like, well, now he's on the run and he's got a kid, or now he's got the kid to some other friends. Didn't they have he had somebody else in America still, some other relatives or something, or the kids' relatives?
I think he was going to try and get the British military to help him find his partner. Is it Kev? Yeah, Kev's grandparent. Kev's parents,
right?
Or grandparents.
The grandparents. That's what it was.
Yeah, he was British, so they were going to try and hope. Well, he was hoping that they would find the grandparents out in the UK to, take care or whatever. So I don't know. I haven't read the second book. I have his second book.
I'm going to put the second book on my list of things to read when I get caught up on my list of current things to read, because like it is fun fiction, and for like kill a day on a plane with literally I'm not able to do anything because it's a travel day, which is super weird in the time of COVID to have a travel day again, because that was my first work trip in
I've got one of those coming up soon too, so yeah, it's weird.
Well, I mean, I didn't forget what it was like, but it was kind of like I haven't had a work trip but once last year, and like I had a road trip for work to go to Montreal, but like I only had to fly once last year for work, and I went to Montreal once, and it was like I drove, so whatever. This year I had one travel, like one air travel thing that I had to do, and it was nice to be able to sit in the plane and read a nonfiction or read a fiction book, and like read the entire book in basically one sitting. Like I started it a couple of days before I got to the airport. I read it at the airport. I read it on the plane. And by the time I went to bed in the hotel, I was done.
Well, and despite my criticism of the ending, it was an enjoyable book.
And, no, it was good. I liked it.
Like, I don't read a lot of fiction. The only time I read fiction, really, like when I was younger, I read a lot of it. But now is usually just for this. And it's usually something a little bit more politically motivated in our book club for fiction books, because we're trying to, slowly red pill and or black pill and educate our listeners by making them read the books that we pick. Shocking, I know. But this one was just kind of purely for fun, and it was nice to do that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It was a nice pulp kind of fiction book. I mean, no offense to John Travolta and was the woman with the hypodermic needle, Uma Thurman.
Oh, yeah.
So like, but I mean, like as like a mass market paperback book, it was a fun read. I enjoyed it, and there was definitely like tactical tidbits that you could infer from it. That like, okay, if I was going to try to burgle a place and I needed a flashlight, having a blackout blanket to put over top of me while I work on the externally located fuse box would be super convenient, and not tracking mud through a place would be like, that's a good thing to think about. So it's kind of like there's some fun thought experiment stuff there to work through. You know, if you were going to be, what was the character's name? Nick Stone. If you're going to be Nick Stone and you're in the situation, what do you got to do? How do you work that problem? Right. So there was some fun thought experiment.
Maybe that's what we need to do is do a theme episode on how to burgle a place for entertainment purposes only.
Well, or to harden your own place from being burgled.
Yeah. Yes.
The solution is guns.
Yeah.
And this is an entertainment podcast. Don't use that advice in a legal capacity.
Exactly.
Just to reference one part of the book when he's driving down to where is it, Florida, to meet someone to help him hack whatever he's got or whatever, and he finds all those douchebag rich kids.
Yeah.
So he follows them, and then he pulls a gun on them and makes away with like a whole bunch of cash.
That was entertaining.
Yeah, that part was good. It made me laugh just because we were talking about.
I would say he creates some great characters.
Yeah.
Right. Like just, I mean that sleazy computer hacker guy was just like perfect. Right. Like, and he paints the picture of that guy so well. And even like his friend that's helping him, that's like a bit of a cokehead or whatever, and an alcoholic, and it's just like, at one time was good at what he did and still remembers all of the pieces of his trade craft, but has gotten sloppy because drugs and alcohol, probably from dealing with his PTSD from all the weird, shady things he did. But like he creates these characters that are believable, right? Like they're not so far out there that you're like, there's no way this is a real person. It's like, no, these are interesting but believable characters.
Yeah, he goes on a tidbit about, but he's like a junkie and a druggie or whatever. But you tell him to be there sometime, a time and place, and he'll be there. Like the phone calls are consistent, like right on the nose and everything. He's on his benders or whatever, but he's still a reliable source for him. And it was pretty good to see that because there's a lot of functioning weird people like that out there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Do you guys have anything else? Do you want to do some listener feedback?
Yeah, let's do a little listener feedback. A little twofer for all the listeners out there.
Okay, just because I didn't read a real book and I didn't make good notes in my tablet, so I'm not reading, which I think in this case is okay. Go buy a copy of the book. Use our Amazon link and read it. And if you want to buy something different on Amazon, go use our link for that instead.
Yeah, or buy both. Yeah. Like you won't regret it. It's a good book.
I thought it was I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good book. I don't think it wasn't like some amazing trade craft stuff, but there was definitely
prize winning or whatever. But like it's entertaining. It's entertainment for entertainment's sake.
Which, I mean, sometimes we need that. And I think there were tidbits in there to pay attention to at least do that thought experiment that we talked about.
Yeah. I mean, bread and circuses is bread and circuses, but that doesn't mean that you don't need the bread and circuses every now and again, right?
Yeah. Well, and like saying, how to the differences between cover and concealment, how to, maybe not how to pick locks, but like some of the considerations, like I'm going to pick locks outside in the dark. I'm going to try and move covertly through a place where I know there's surveillance cameras. How do I like,
or even just the
change my appearance? How do I
how to lose a tail and do all of the things where like I'm moving through the mall and then I go
distance and angles, bud. Distance and angles.
And all of that stuff is still relevant. And I agree. Like the thought experiment of it is kind of interesting. And that's what it kind of plays into the stuff that we talk and read a lot about, but not in a way where it feels like you're reading a manual.
It wasn't left of bang, but there was still some of that same.
Yeah. And if you've read those kind of books, you will pick up on it more, which kind of makes it interesting.
Yeah. And again, I think that's why I enjoyed it, because it's like, okay, well, if you had to go to a mall and you had to meet a guy in person, face to face, to do a thing, like how would you do that? How would you make sure that they're not being followed? How do you make sure that you're not being followed? Well, if you are, how do the distance and angles work to get you further away from them so you can lose that person that's following you?
Yeah, and now that I'm thinking about it, so like when he's talking about checking into the motels and giving people like the sob story as to why he doesn't have a credit card and has to do this, that, having done some of that kind of stuff, I would say that it's very accurate. You know, the way that they approached it, not necessarily the story, but just the emotion that they try to impart by telling the sob story and making somebody just not want to deal with you and just get it over with quickly, or to feel sympathetic towards you and be like, oh, just don't worry about it. We'll let it. Like those tactics are things that people still use to this day because they work. So yeah, it's little tidbits when you start really doing the thought experiment like we're kind of doing now. And I think, yeah, good book. Just read it.
Yeah, I'd say read it. Listener feedback?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one isn't feedback. I just want to welcome new Patreon Matt to the show. Matt, we owe you a t-shirt.
Working on it.
I probably owe you more than a t-shirt, but thank you for becoming a Patreon and achieving the t-shirt tier Patreon status. I'm sorry you're not getting your money's worth this month because I am a little bit behind on editing by about 3 weeks now. Probably 4 weeks by the time we put this out.
But thank you. We appreciate you.
We do. And I will be in touch with all of our Patreons that I owe t-shirts to in the very near future, now that we have someone with a tax shelter willing to make t-shirts with our logos on them. Because I guess that was an issue for some places.
Yeah. Apparently we're not palatable. Yeah.
I really do hope that Tim gets his overdue library book situation sorted out.
Yeah.
Because I missed him.
I do.
Yeah. Listener feedback from Jason. This is Outlaw. Awesome show on barbarians. I love the jokes on Rod, and I learned a different meaning of outlaw. Outlaw, as I understand it, in Viking and Cree culture, was the worst punishment to be sentenced. It meant you were no longer. It meant you no longer had protection under the law, former, or you were cast from the tribe, latter. Either way, you no longer have protection under the group. Maybe we should introduce this as punishment for heinous crimes and our allegedly elected prime minister. I don't know if we should outlaw you if you get elected prime minister, but maybe we just stop. Canada just needs a break. We should just focus on ourselves for a while.
Yeah. It's not me, it's you.
It's not us. It is him.
Yeah.
It's not us. It's government.
Yeah. I mean, like, Parliament's dissolved right now. Can we just try that for a while?
I mean, it's worth a shot.
You know, like we're managing fine for the how long is this? 5 weeks that the election is?
Well, and this is a terribly short election.
Yeah.
I enjoyed when we did Becoming a Barbarian, but I mean, I like Jack Donovan, and I feel like I'm obligated to say no homo at this point.
Maybe just a little.
No.
But like, I mean, I enjoy, well, I won't say all of his writing because I haven't read his first book and I don't really plan to, but everything after that is basically all the things that I want to say and think, but just written a hell of a lot better than I could ever do.
Well, and I mean, I don't know about you, man. I'm not a good writer. That's why I do a podcast. I have a face for radio.
Yeah, that's why we do it live on the internet with our faces.
Well, no, I'm not.
And
I don't. Even the public access TV place is probably not going to want somebody that looks like me on their TV. But fortunately,
looks like
I feel like I don't sound awful if I run my voice through enough filters and compressors on the computer.
Yeah.
And
someone was
people
saying
listen,
earlier in the chat that if Pierre shaved his head, you wouldn't be able to tell the three of us apart that easily.
I mean, all you damn white guys with beards do all look the same.
Yeah. But yeah, I find, Jack Donovan is very well read and well spoken and well written and all of that. It expresses the things that I want to do in a way that's so much better than I ever could.
And even if it's not so much how you think, I find if you read anything by him kind of with an open mind, it's also could be, hey, I never thought about it that way, right? Well, I don't necessarily
this
disagree.
This is one of those things that I like that three of us all seem like we have unlike Gavin, who I have known from before the podcast. I knew Gavin pre-internet. Well, actually, that might not be true. I might have known you on the internet a little bit before I met you in person, but probably not by much. But like Pierre is only someone who I have come to know through the podcast, and I feel like the three of us are our opinions, and generally the people that are regulars on the show, people like Dave or Brian or Tim, Ian, we all generally are in the same gulag, the same camp, if you will.
That's why we get along, though.
I know, but we have very minor differences, except for Marty. He only agrees with 50% of what we say.
Yeah, which is fair.
Well, I mean, the Dutchness.
Yeah.
So I think the Jack Donovan stuff is good. I've enjoyed the books. I'm glad we did them on the show. Hopefully more people read them with an open mind, because I do think they are well written and they can say things a different way. It's a different perspective, or it's maybe a different message from other sort of mainstream self-help books. Because his books, I think, are sort of self-help books. Like they're in the same vein as maybe like the Jordan Peterson books, but they're not. Yeah. They're not as dense as, say, a Jordan Peterson book.
Well, they're not that hocus pocus, frou-frou, like light some candles and stare at some crystals kind of like self-help book. It's go out and find a tribe and do hard things with hard men. I feel again obligated to say no homo, but and I find that if you're into the whole, Austrian sort of economics and Hans Hermann Hoppe and all of that stuff that we kind of are, in some varying degrees on board with. It's that tribe, it's that smaller local government that's, actually for the people and by the people, and not just like some random dude that's like the head of a party and you vote for this person and, we're never having first past the post and 2 elections later, here we are. But like, it's that the tribe will look after itself. And if we get along with the tribe next door to us, we'll find a way to make that work. Yep. But I don't give a shit about the people that live on the other side of the world. And not that I wish bad things upon them, but like, I don't give a shit about them either.
Well, I guess, I can't be obligated to care about people I don't know. I care about, I don't know, I care about like 12 people, 15 people, like really? Yeah. I mean, not like in a general sense. I mean, like we.
Yeah.
Why so many people? Why so many people?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah. No, and that's what I mean, right? Like I find even, if anybody reads any of his books, just open-minded, right? Just finish the book, and whether you agree with it or not, I find that how he words and how he talks about a lot of things and how he speaks is just kind of like, hey, maybe you don't agree with it, but after how he worded it and how he made his point of view, be like, I can understand why you stand on that side of the fence. I don't agree with it, but hey, you have you should have your right to stand on whichever sides, but
absolutely. But at least then your opinion is more well-formed because you've seen the other side of it and you disagree with it because of, X, Y, Z or whatever it is, right? Opposed to, I have this view because that's what CNN or CBC tells me.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. Should we do another one here?
Yeah.
Yep.
What do we got next? Is this from Kip? Yeah. Guys, this is from Kip. The subject is podcast. Guys, listen to your show weekly. Some great information that isn't bought and paid for mainstream media. I send your shows to friends to get them information and hooked. Both my wife and I are working in front line on COVID. She's a critical care nurse, did 2 rotations in the ICU in Ottawa with a COVID patient. I'm a firefighter in Ottawa. Yes, it's true. If you want to find a firefighter, just wait. They will tell you. Thought I would get that in before you did. I'm a shooter and hunter, outdoors guy. And I do see the disconnect between the shooter and hunters with the libs and its perfect plan. First, isolate them, then destroy them. I've been involved in many conversations with hunters saying it's okay to ban those they aren't for hunting, but not realizing that owning a deer rifle or shotgun doesn't make you proficient or safe. Also, once shooters are gone, the hunters will fold because most of them don't belong to the NFA, CCFR, etc., who will fight. Thanks again for the show. And that's from Kip. We are not bought and paid for media, but if you want to buy and pay for us, Patreon is a good choice. And if you want us to share your opinions, I'm willing to negotiate.
Yeah.
If you own a brewery, I will basically tell you whatever you want.
Distillery, also good. If you
I'd be willing to get those seltzers if they were free. Ammo company's a good call.
Yeah.
I gotta aim bigger. I gotta be more like Gavin when I grow up. I do want to thank Chris and I'm sorry, not Chris, Kip and Mrs. Kip for their service to their community. I'm sure that that's appreciated. I'm not in Ottawa and I try to avoid going there, but I'm sure the people there do appreciate having nurses and firefighters.
Yes.
But I imagine that he's sorry.
I'm close enough to Ottawa. We appreciate them.
Okay. I don't know. There are certain things in Ottawa that I wouldn't mind if they burned down and didn't receive medical attention, so to speak.
Yeah, agreed. At least currently. We'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah. I do think that Kip is right though. There are unfortunately a lot of people in this country who hunt for sport in some capacity or another, subsistence or hunting for food or legitimate
with drones.
Actual sport, like people that are hunting for the sake of hunting. There are people that do that, and
you mean like trophy hunting?
Well, but I mean, not strictly trophy hunting. I don't know that we have a lot of that in Canada. I'm sure it does happen. I do think there are a lot of people that hunt because it's an excuse to go out in the woods and carry a gun and get drunk for a week with their friends, and they tell their wives they're going hunting.
Quit telling my secrets, Andrew.
Yeah, I know. And well, I mean, you guys and listeners that have heard more than like 3 episodes know that I don't hunt, and that's not why I have firearms. But I unfortunately, because of the position I'm in, I do hear from a lot of hunters, usually around this time of year, that want to start sighting in deer rifles.
Yeah.
And I tell them to join a gun club for the entire year, and they can shoot as much as they want. And no, they cannot come and sight their deer rifle in for one day. I don't care that
they only need to shoot shots. 3 rounds, once a year to make sure.
And unfortunately, we are at that time of year where people are asking me to come to a gun club and shoot their 3 rounds, and I don't want that, because just join the gun club and join an association, join a national association. I don't have any love for any of them. I guess if I had to pick one, I would say join the CCFR, because I have friends that help run the CCFR in various capacities. But the NFA, the CCSA, the CCFR, I mean, joining them and donating money. Sorry?
Yeah, pick one of them, preferably the CCFR. But if you don't like them, pick one of the others. Just pick.
Yeah, I would pick one and give them the equivalent of a couple of boxes of ammo. Don't just be a member and get your free whatever the thing is they're giving you for free, because it unfortunately costs money to run political campaigns in this country. And what the CCFR is doing with lobbying is a political campaign. What the NFA is, I think, not doing very well with cartoons is a political campaign. Yeah. The CCSA sending out their regular email updates, again, like, you have to have somebody there to write copy. It doesn't do it on its own. Yeah. Unfortunately, all this stuff costs money. Even if you can get people to volunteer their time and interest to do the work, you still have to have the email service or the website or the magazine or have the graphics designer or do like all of these things. Unfortunately, like, the nature of it is it costs money.
Yeah, time and money, you know.
I do think that Kip's right here. As we unfortunately have seen, there are certain hunting organizations, OFAH, I'm looking at you specifically, that don't seem to mind that if my black, scary military-style assault rifles get banned, that their sniper rifles, scoped deer rifles, pardon me, won't be banned next.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot on the show, and if you
but it bears repeating because any episode could be somebody's first episode, right?
Gun rack that I'm certainly not handling live on YouTube because that would be a violation, but it's just sitting there. There's a lot of hunting rifles back there that happen to be surplus military rifles, and these scary assault style weapons that are hanging on the wall over here. I'm not going to move my camera, but they're off camera. I promise you they're there. Those are being banned when they've never been used by any military at all. Actual military rifles that I could still use for hunting are behind me in the rack. So you want to ban my assault style ones, but anything that's actually an assault weapon because it's actually been used by somebody to assault somebody else, I can still go and hunt with just fine. Like, that just shows how ridiculous the whole thing is. Gun is a gun is a gun. It's not the thing, it's the people behind it that are the problem, namely criminals.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what an election brings us. Join a gun organization. It won't hurt. I don't think gun orgs are tax deductible the same way that a political party is, which is too bad. We should figure out how to make them a political party.
But even if all you do is the bare minimum and pay your $40 for membership, that gets you liability insurance, which is super important. Don't just do that, contribute more. But even if that's all you can do, because that's all you can afford, you get something for that. But give them more if you can, because we need it now more than ever.
Do another one. I've got a couple of here from Jeff. I'm going to do these out of order in the show notes, but that's just because I felt like the sequence better this way. This is from Jeff. It's called Jeff Again. I just started listening to this podcast per Ian on CPP. A handful of hard men was my starting point. Badass dudes later. So that would be the imitation CPP, the lower grade CPP, if you will. The Canadian Prepper podcast. Which by all means, go and listen to Ian and go and listen to the other people on Prepper podcast. You can occasionally find Gavin and I there stirring that pot.
Yeah.
But they do have lots of good information, and they do it in a slightly different style, and they're much less political than we are. But it is good, interesting, predominantly Canadian content.
Yeah, and we go on there occasionally to let our autism out about pants and body armor and all kinds of other
first aid supplies and
relevant to our experiences.
Again, handful of hard men. Book club episodes seem to be much talked about episodes. least we get a significant amount of feedback about book club episodes, and I've enjoyed the book club. A Handful of Hard Men. Well, it is an unfortunate title in today's rainbow-colored world, because you can't just say things like that without someone inferring that you're part of the Alphabet Brigade. A Handful of Hard Men is probably my new favorite book.
It's pretty good.
Like, it's really good. It's maybe not the best written book ever, but it's probably my new favorite book, because I've already read it twice. I've started it a third time. I will probably read it.
You gotta do the other one. We Dared to Win.
Well, I'll put it on the list, but I happen to have a copy of Handful of Hard Men, and I've read it a couple of times.
Fair. But because it's the same people in the same time and place, just from a different angle.
Yeah.
Also excellent.
3 Sips of Gin's on my list, and a bunch of other books in that same vein. Because the Bush War is an interesting time in history, and I mean, Africa is still interesting for the same reasons it was now in today that it was in the 70s.
Yeah, just in a slightly different location.
Yeah, but I mean, 50 years later, and it's still the same. It's Russia and China trying to get resources in Africa.
Wait, hold on. 50 years later, Dutch 50-50. Coincidence?
I mean,
I think not.
Maybe. What's the word in Dutch for maybe not?
I don't know. It's weird, probably.
Other email from Jeff, because I read these out of order. Jeff's other email: Becoming a Barbarian. Love the show, guys. I love to hear other perspectives, other ideas, etc. In the words of Rodney King, can't we all get along? No, I don't want to get along with some people. That's just a fact of life. In America, as I'm sure in Canada, the media runs the ship, supplies the ship, and will even sink the ship if it needs to. Great quotes in this book. I'll have to buy it. This is one of the top 3 podcasts I listen to. Keep up the mental masturbation. One suggestion: get Pierre a new mic. Hard to understand him sometimes. It's from Jeff in New Mexico. And Pierre has a new microphone. Pierre has a new recording studio, and Pierre has a tax shelter.
Yeah. So, that's definitely crossing some things off the Patriot Challenge right there.
Yes. I apologize. It took a little bit, but yes.
That's okay. I think you've become a regular feature here, and I'm quite happy to have stumbled through those first couple of episodes, because you sound quite dulcet now.
Yeah, I figured I was like, am I going to spend the money to buy a mic and then try this out? And everybody hates me, so I got to go cry in my corner. And I'm like, no, I'm stuck with headsets that I'll never use. Right? I don't game, I don't do anything. So it was after a few tries and everything going good, I was like, all right, yeah. So
I gotta say, it's amazing that despite the name of our show, it's obviously Canadian. We get some American people that listen, and it resonates with them, which is awesome.
It's nice to see.
I like it. Yeah.
Especially because I'm sure once they start hearing some of our gun laws or whatever, the Americans just get rivaled up, right? Especially with that OIC coming out. And
you want to make an American mad? Show them Australia.
Yeah.
If that's not an unfortunate depiction of things to come.
Yeah. I was reading something about it with they're not even allowed to be outside to exercise if they're within 5 kilometers or something retarded of somebody else. I was like, are you kidding me?
No, you have to be within 10 kilometers of your residence.
I was like, this is
craziness.
I thought we had it bad, and then it's like, ugh.
We've got an email from Brandon. The subject is Rod Giltaca. Hello there. This show is in the top 2 of my favorite podcasts. One question: what's the gag with Giltaca? So one-upping Jeff by saying that we're top 2 rather than just top 3. I've also got an email from Jason about help support man's best friend. Good day. I was wondering when the shirts will be showing up so I can show I'm not a communist. Anyway, I do. I haven't had that much to drink, but I feel like we're missing some words. Anyway, I do.
Communism text.
I see. There's a period here that shouldn't be. Anyway, I do not know if you want to announce it. I was very confused. Anyway, I do not know if you want to announce it, but Magpul is doing a t-shirt drive to support veteran service dogs. I do not know if you'd be interested in posting this in the next podcast. Yes, I am, even though it's in America, and even though I have had some beefs with Magpul over the years, but I like service dogs and dogs generally. So if you go on the Magpul website, I'll drop a link. The shirts are mostly sold out at this point, but I'll put a link in the show notes. Oh God, that is a terrible link when you do it that way. You'll be able to find it. It's awful looking. If you want to support that, they're doing them for $26 US, and it goes towards Second Chance Canine, helping bring special operations and special dogs together. So it's retired service dogs for veterans with PTSD, special operations veterans in the US with PTSD. Yeah. Absolutely. We will definitely put that in the show notes, Jason, even though we're a little bit late. You sent that a while ago, and I have unfortunately been away for work, and it looks like most of the shirts are sold out, but they do still have a couple of sizes left. It looks like you need to be either very small or very large to get one.
Well, there you go. So yeah, if you fit those categories and you want to help out a good cause, because, just do it.
I guess maybe I should read the ad copy from Magpul that Jason included. We're proud to support our friends at Second Chance Canine. It's a nonprofit rescue organization that pairs former military working dogs and other rescue animals with special operations veterans with PTSD. The goal is to place dogs that thrive on having a job with veterans who can benefit from their companionship. Purchasing one of these limited run t-shirts will support Second Chance Canine with 100% of the profits. You can get these now at magpul.com and then link in the show notes. So thanks, Jason, for sharing that. I'm sorry we didn't get that out in an earlier episode to have more people participate.
Unfortunately, if all of them are sold out, that means that people are participating. So that's a good thing.
That is a good thing. I just
just to black pill people for a second here, because that's what we do. I saw some photos posted earlier that the whole, fuck Afghanistan thing. There were a bunch of service dogs that were just left at the airports, which sucks big time. So the ones that have made it back, to partner them up with somebody that needs a service dog is doing a service to both of those people. So really good cause.
One more. We've got an email from Dave. The subject is 5.56. I really hope this is about guns.
It's not. It's going to be some bad feedback on the feedback.
Well, Dave's email reads, "You guys are the best. I listen to your show every Tuesday at work when it's uploaded, and now I'm listening to all your older podcasts. You need to come out with a tactile t-shirt that says, 'God bless you, Turkey,' and has a mailman on it, or something like that. I want to know if you have any recommendations for a tactical rifle with a caliber of .556 that won't break the bank. I'm also going to sign up for your next navigation course. Thanks for making a place in the god-awful world where like-minded people can come together and make fun of it. God bless you, turkeys." I'm not sure I understand the turkey joke. Did something happen while I was off that I missed?
Not that I can think of.
Okie dokie.
Not that I can think of either.
But we can certainly do that. We have a guy now that makes shirts.
I mean, Pierre is able to make t-shirts. So if you want to tell us some more details, Dave, about the t-shirt that you would like Pierre to make you.
Yeah, I can design it. He can print it. You can wear it. It's like a match made in heaven. Yeah.
It's a real community event. It takes a village to clothe a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
It takes a village to do something.
Yeah.
5.56 tactical rifles that won't break the bank.
It takes a village to overthrow the government.
I thought it was only 3% of the population.
Yeah, well, but the 3% of active people overthrowing the government require the support of the vast majority of the people in the village. Logistics trains don't run themselves, boys.
Fair. I think we've kind of talked about some of this stuff in the past a bit.
Yeah, but any episode could be somebody's first episode. Maybe we haven't addressed Dave's specific question to his satisfaction. So tactical rifles in 5.56 that won't break the bank. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you mean by break the bank, but like, if you're looking for a bullpup, there's always the Tavor. If you can find an older one, I would say that fits into the not breaking the bank per se, because like you get to a certain point and below that you don't, it's not worth the money because it's going to be a piece of poop.
Well, and I unfortunately think that's going to be the case. So if you're looking for a tactical rifle, let's get the easy one out of the way first. If you want something in 5.56 that looks cool and has detachable magazines, but you're also okay with it being bolt action, the Ruger Precision Rifle or the Mossberg MVP both look tactical. They have like the chassis and they look cool, but they're bolt guns, right? They have detachable box magazines. They run on AR patterns to NAG pattern AR-15 magazines, and they are chambered in 5.56. And they're not going to break the bank. I think the Ruger Precision, the Ruger, it's the Ruger American Ranch Rifle is the model.
That one I think is just under 1,000. I think the MVP is just over 1,000. And then you're also looking at like the Maple Ridge Renegade and others that are in that.
I wanted to get past the simple like
true bolt action.
There are tactical looking bolt guns that run detachable AR style mags and shoot 5.56. Okay. Weird manual action guns. The Maple Ridge Armory Renegade is the small frame, and they have another one that's a large frame.
Yeah.
So you want the small frame one, which I think is the Renegade. The receiver set is like a G note.
Yeah. So you're probably looking 2 Gs plus, depending on the quality of components when it's all said and done.
Yeah, a G for the receiver set, and then 400 or 500 for the barrel, and then another 400 or 500 in small parts, and then maybe a couple $100 in furniture.
Yeah, and there's a few others that are in that straight pull AR-15 sized and mostly compatible configuration. So you'll be getting.
What else is there aside from the Maple Ridge that's?
Oh, I can't think. There's a couple of Canadian companies that are making them now.
Okay, I would look at the MRA, the Maple Ridge Armories. I think the Renegade is the small frame one. They make a large frame, which is the 30 caliber variety, the 308 caliber variety. It'll run like basically anything short action, which is fine. You're using 308 pattern PMags and stuff. The Renegade seems to be a pretty solid design. The Troy pump action MPAR, the pump PAR MPAR, the Troy pump action AR is maybe another choice, although I think they're a little hard to come by. And I think they're
overpriced.
I think they were over $2,000 when they were available, and they were like a competitor to actual ARs. And now that we can't have actual ARs, like you won't be able to transfer a new AR into your name if you already have one. Well, you can be like me and have a safe full that doesn't do you any good.
Yeah.
But okay, so I'm not sure about other straight pull or other alternative AR platform stuff. Then you get into like non-restricted semi-auto detachable box magazine fed 5.56. So you get like the WK-180. And isn't there another 180 series?
So there's a bunch of one. So there's the original WK, which is like the Wolverine Kodiak 180, which I don't know. I think they were like $1,200-$1,300 ish, somewhere in that ballpark when they first came out. I would recommend not getting one of those, especially a first gen one.
Yeah, there seems to be some QC issues with the Kodiak 180s.
Falling out issues, and then it then became the WS-MCR. So Wolverine went to Spectre and had them produce a Gen 4-ish or something of that, where they beefed up all of the things. So the MCR if you're going with the 180 as of right now, I would say is the better option. But there seems to be a bunch of 180s on the horizon.
So the MCR I think is going around $1,400. The old WK 180s, I think when they were new, they were going for 12, but I don't think you can find them that cheap on the EE because they're kind of they're not a unicorn, but I mean they're not easy to come by.
As soon as they hit the gun store, they're getting bought up and then being tried to turn around for a profit almost immediately on the internet.
I think there are going to be more 180 style rifles coming, which might be a good option. I have a hard time spending like around $1,500 for a Canadian made AR alternative, a Canadian made semi-auto rifle that like the machining is not great. The finish on them is not great. The QC generally does not seem to be good, although the WS MCR XCRs seem to be better. I've still seen people running them with problems. They do not like the 180 series rifles just do not seem to be an accurate design. I don't know if it's how they mount the barrel to the receiver or if it's something to do with how the bolt interfaces to the barrel, but
something is not right.
I have ARs that'll hold half a minute, 3/4 of a minute at 100. We have a hard time at the range with people bringing out 180s, getting 5 shots that I can cover with my hand. Like they're not terribly accurate rifles.
And then you start looking at like there's some of the Norinco like T97 or whatever that's available.
Well, so that's another one of those bullpup ones, and I think we should bullpups and maybe Norinco stuff. Maybe that deserves its own little side tangent. There is the Norinco LMG 81, the Type 81, I think it is.
Yeah.
So if you want a ridiculous not AK that runs detachable magazines but is basically an SKS, I mean, you could get it. I think that's the Type 81 is the model. I'm not a big Norinco guy, so don't.
Yeah, but that would be that's in 7.62 though. They do make their bullpup Type 97.
That's a good point. That is a bullpup. I'm sorry, that is a 7.62.
Yeah.
The Type 97 does come in 5.56 and does run on Stanag pattern aluminum magazines. The Tavor is another choice if you want to get your tiny hat out. A Tavor, especially a first generation Tavor, not the X95, but the
I would say they
TAR 21,
reasonably priced at least for the market right now.
Well, so from what I have seen on the Equipment Exchange on Gun Nuts, the Tavors I think are more expensive than what they're worth, but they haven't seen the massive inflation that say like the WK 180s and the MCRs have seen. Because like if you can get an MCR new, it's like $1,400, but also on the EE they're going for at least $1,400.
Nobody can get them new,
so you're buying a used gun, or you're buying a gun that somebody's just flipping.
Some other stuff there's the B&T, which is like $5,000 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
And
the
Bushmaster
B&T
ACR.
The B&T I think is a great choice, but it will definitely break the bank because you are buying a Swiss rifle, so it is going to cost you $5,000. But it is a work of art.
Yeah. Very reliable, very well made.
Yeah, it runs like a Swiss machine.
The Bushmaster ACR, again, if you can get one, but it'll be pricey. I think it's a little bit cheaper than the B&T, but not much. So, I mean, honestly, like if you're looking that's not going to break the bank, you're kind of looking at a Norinco or sadly a 180 pattern rifle, I think. And then a Tavor is probably your next best. If you've got a little bit more money to spend, I'd say it's worth it to go with an older model Tavor.
Yeah.
And then you start getting into
an X95 if you can get one. Well, so an older model Tavor, the TAR 21 style Tavor, you're probably a little over $2,000.
Yeah.
The X95, you're probably looking closer to 2,500, maybe a little bit over 2,500. I haven't looked for a new Tavor in a while because I have one and I don't plan on getting any more because one Jewish space gun in the safe is one more than I really ever wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird. It's a strange manual of arms, and I don't like it. I miss my AR.
Yeah.
So I don't know that helps you narrow your options down, Dave, but that maybe gives you some ideas for places to look. I do think it's going to depend on what we say with most gear and equipment on this show. When people ask, it depends on what you want to do with it.
Yeah. Hopefully that's made you have some more questions that you can send, and we can further expand on our answer, I guess. Or join the Discord, ask there. There's lots of autism about stuff.
Yeah, I'll get back on Discord someday. I need to finish up some stuff. I think that covers off our listener feedback. If you want to send feedback to the show, you can do that feedback@canadianpatriotpodcast.com. We will, generally speaking, read your email. There is a lot of spam, poorly written requests for help from people that don't seem to be above board. Plus all the normal like Chinese garbage email, like, we sell steel pins. Do you want steel pins? We're a quality manufacturer of steel pins. And I'm like, oh, delete. So we are getting a lot of junk mail. So I apologize if we've missed something that's been sent in. I don't know. I do want to subscribe. I do want to thank whoever subscribed me to different kinds of pornography. Wasn't good, but didn't cost me anything. So thanks for putting me on those mailing lists, I guess. I don't know how that happened, but I have a suspicion that somebody just went and signed us up for some crap on the internet.
Okay.
We should, did we talk about Discord? We talked about Discord. Link is in the show note. If you want to talk on Discord, we have the link. Other Andrew mostly runs that. Pierre, do you want to mention your new clothing tax shelter again?
Yes, I apologize. My internet's been acting up for the last, I don't even know how many emails.
That's all right. It's thesis installing the software on your computer. Don't worry.
Yeah, and they're installing while we're live. I don't know. But yeah, off the wall customizing, there's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, I don't know. It's somewhere. Look for it. I'm not responsible for it. That's my wife. So if you find that and there's a specific question for me, she'll figure it out and she'll get a hold of me, but she'll probably answer any questions you have and we can probably make anything happen. So sky is the limit.
All right there. Who was that? That was that Jeff that wanted the shirt. Somebody that asked about the mailman with the turkey shirt. You get in touch with Pierre, you get yourself your shirt with your turkey mailman on it. Gavin, where can everybody find you?
The best place to find me is on the gram, Urbex GTA. Or I guess at our next land nav class that we probably need to put the date for.
Yeah, we should probably do a bunch of things, but one emergency at a time is about all I can manage.
That's fair.
You want to hang out with us or buy some shirts when we get them in stock, or you're looking for other first aid or tactical supplies, you can check us out at ragnaroktactical.ca. I handle the emails when I get to them. Apologies for the people that are waiting for me to get back to them. And I ship the orders. And I'm sorry I think it was Jason that wrote in. Jason, you ordered some stuff on the weekend, and I forgot to go to the post office today. So I will be doing that tomorrow for you. Yeah, I know an apology doesn't cut it, but I'm sorry. I forgot to go to the post office today. I'll fix that tomorrow because I'm a bad business owner. I have to apologize to Rod Giltaca. We could not fit him on the show tonight. We were talking about fiction books, and all of Rod's novels are autobiographies. So we'll try to get Rod on next week. I think we're probably going to do a bunch of election stuff with how close we are to the election. I feel like there's some election stuff in our future. So maybe Rod would like to talk politics with us.
There you go.
Oh God, it's been so good watching those videos with Trudeau.
My favorite Trudeau video is the guy that called him. What was the kid in? It was like a fast food chain or a mall or something. He's like he called him a communist fuck.
Yeah. I've been enjoying the chant of piece of shit and fuck Trudeau. So yeah, stay tuned next week where we'll talk about all of that stuff and probably a bunch more.
If you need a shirt that says fuck Trudeau, you can reach me at Off the Wall Customizing. I'm sure we can make that happen.
I might need that. It'll go with the decal on my truck.
Yeah.
Is it decal or decal?
Yes.
Do you drink tea or coffee?
Yes.
Then yes.
Okay, perfect. Do I drink? Have you met me? Of course I drink. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are the True North, strong and free. And I'd like to, as we close the show, I would like to wish younger Andrew, maybe even better Andrew, and his wife a very happy delivery. It looks like they're about to have another child.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They had to wait until the show was done, though, so we could listen.
Yeah, that's why I'm putting it in here now, because he's like, yeah, we're going to the hospital.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, all right.